Good afternoon, everybody. I had a few requests come in recently about channeling the Fairy Queen. It's interesting because I never actually went to her directly and asked her questions. I didn't ask her to come to me. She's always came to me voluntarily, and I've always seen her as a combination of many spirits. Many fairies come together, like thousands of fairies, that the soul merges together into this one beautiful soul. So I'm just going to give myself a second here. I'm going to take my hands, place them up in the air, bring them down to the center of my body. I'm on an island, and I'm going to make sure the ocean is perfectly still. So I do this by bringing my hands up and breathing in. If you need to do that a few more times to still the ocean, that is fine. Take as long as you need. I go off the rock on the island that I'm sitting on, and I go, and there's a little tiny chest. I open the chest, and there's a golden key. I take the key and I wave my hand to create a doorway. I take the key and I turn it, and I open the door and I walk through. I'm in a beautiful realm of fantasy, really, because the colors are super saturated. You can see the energy of the trees itself, and the animals and the insects are all breathtakingly beautiful because they all glow with a light, internal light that spreads outwards, and they're all different colors. There's some purple, pinks, white, blue, red, and so on. Even yellows, like they go on, all the different beautiful colors. Almost like they're fireflies in itself. I walk along for a while, and there's a beautiful golden energy coming down from above. And it's a girl in a long golden dress, and she lands in front of me, and she does a curtsy and smiles at me. And she puts her arm out like this, and I put my arm in hers, just like this, and I smile. It's like it's very pleasant. And so we're walking along this path, and she's talking about the tree that we're walking up to. And I see this tree in an open field in our world, and I look at it. It's a big oak tree, like probably 100, 200, 300, 400 years old, but it's still exceptionally healthy. Perfect tree. It's like you can't get a much better tree. It looks really surreal in this one because you can see the energy it gives off, and the sparkles and the light. And then when you see it in our world, it's still a beautiful tree. And she says, "What?" And you do change it, your eyes and the way you see. If you're gifted and can see the energy of things, then the energy of nature, the energy of people, animals, insects, trees, plants of any type, that's a gift, because it puts an extra layer of beauty onto things that people don't normally see. But she's telling me about how this world, the nature is perfect, pristine, but in ours it can be wrecked and destroyed, and people don't care. Not everybody. There's a lot of people that do care, but there's a lot of people that don't. The industry doesn't care. So it's showing me how a development's growing up to this big, massive tree in an open field, and the field's slowly becoming more and more and more of the city, more and more of housing. This is more like on the outskirts of the city. So it's all basically just normal housing, the residential. It shows the guys actually sitting down and planning this section they're going to do next where this oak tree is. The oak tree isn't in their drawings. at all. They put a little park off to the left side of the big oak tree. It's only a small one. And they put like little bit bigger lots around that little park, and they charge more. And they're even saying that, like, you can say they're kind of like smiling greedily that this is going to be worth more because it's this tiny little pathetic park in the middle. But they don't care. It's like they don't want to build a big park. They just want to build a little park here, a little park over here, and charge more based around that because it's around that park. But they want to build homes right where the oak tree is. So they actually go in, they chop it, like take chainsaws, they cut the thing down, and it's gone. Just like that. Been standing, she says it's been standing for 500 years. And it could easily have stood for another 500 because it was so healthy. The roots were really deep. There was an underground water supply deep within the ground that the roots were attached to, that were getting water from regularly, and it would have lasted for a very long time. Not enough to drown the roots, don't get me wrong, but it was enough to keep this tree healthy, keep it strong for a very, very long time. She shows me the same thing if she reversed time and showed me what it would look like if this park, where like this park was combined together to make a bigger park with the oak tree in the center, not getting too close to the roots because you wouldn't want to kill the tree, but far enough away that you could build a beautiful park around it. You could even put a little pond in here off to the left, or a bigger pond, and then you would have had more properties, if not the same amount of properties around this big, huge like place, and it was beautiful. The problem is, she's saying literally it would have had 2 or 3 less homes by doing that, and that's why they didn't do it, because they would have lost like the 3 homes. The way they're doing it now, they have these little parks, and they're actually, the way they're designed, they're hitting in spaces that you can eat away from other lots without them really knowing about it, and people knowing about it. So they can squeeze these little parks in places where there's really not much they could build there anyway. So instead, they just, to save 3 homes, they decide to destroy this tree. So the question is that okay? I'll leave up to you as a viewer. Is that okay to do that? But it doesn't affect the tree in the spiritual realm, in the fairy realm. The tree is still very much alive, even though in this realm it is not. But she says it happens a lot of time when a tree is dying because of many, many, many reasons. It could be pollution. It could be a lack of water. It could be all kinds of different reasons why. Even people coming too close to the roots, where they're putting power lines in, too close to roots, putting underground wiring, things like that. Like without really thinking, they get too close and they chop the roots, which then weakens the tree, which then can kill it. Because as you get too close to a tree, it starts killing major root systems, which then the tree cannot overcome, and it will die. So the fairies try to take the spiritual tree and they show me the 2 pictures that are overlapping, and they're trying to put them together, but they can't, because this tree is not able to take on the spiritual energy because it's wounded, it's hurt, and people don't care. It's almost like the tree knows, so it gives up. This tree is saying, it's almost like this tree is the higher self, and this tree is the physical person. And if you look at it that way, the higher self tree is trying to get the other tree to bring its energy back up, but it can't, because nobody gives a shit about that tree. Nobody cares. So the tree feels, you can feel the depression of the tree, and it starts to die because it is depressed. This is sad. So the tree dies alone. But then it shows me the same tree in a backyard with kids, family, and people loving the tree, like really caring about it, even giving it water, like even kids playing around it, not beating and digging it and like, trying to, hurt the tree in any way. This is like a loving family near this tree. And there's other trees in the yard as well, and it gives it purpose, and it actually wants to live. It's actually saddened when this family leaves. But another family comes in and loves it, and the cycle continues on and on and on. Hundreds of years can go by. But then one time, one family comes in and says this tree is taking up too much light. So they chop all the trees down in the yard that were there for hundreds of years, just because they wanted more light. This is the things they want you guys to look at, these scenes, and ask you, the viewer, is this okay to do this? It's like they're saying that trees have conscience. They understand, like they have feelings. They're not like a human being, but they still are living spirits. So that's what we don't understand. And this is what she's telling me, is that you don't understand as a human race that trees are alive. They have a consciousness. They believe. They live and they thrive from people loving them and other trees within the area. If they're isolated, they get lonely. But it all depends on what's going on. They show me like a tree that it's in an open field can be very happy as well, because it has all local wildlife around it. It could have rabbits. It could have birds nesting in the leaves. But to me, that gives it purpose. It actually shows me that the tree loves it when a bird picks it to grow its young, because it actually feels and is so happy to watch these birds grow and prosper and then take off and go on their way. It gives it purpose. It's actually quite beautiful. And they show me two cities. One that is like a forest. It almost looks like an ancient ruin, a Mayan ruin that's lost in the forest. And then you have the other one, like a Mexico City, that is just concrete everywhere. And they look at these two cities and say, what would you rather live in? And this one is clean. It is pristine. It's like there's no cars. There's not even any streets, because people walk on the streets. They don't need to have a car at all, because everything is done by like transit systems that are really, really advanced. And this one is just full of pollution and no nature at all. Everything's polluted, stinks. This was like smells, it's beautiful. The water's clean, there's fish in the rivers, in the ponds. And there's wild animals going free. Not hurtful ones. But it is like the city itself is beautiful. But if you blinked, you would miss it. The trees are so green and high that even the skyscrapers themselves have actually trees growing on them. So it's pretty crazy. But the way it's designed, like they have these like really big balconies with big huge trees growing on them, and the roots go down into the like down below the balcony into the building itself, it seems like. But there's water that's fed into the sides of the building somehow that feed the greenery, and it's really phenomenal. But they say this is possible, and this is what it's like to work with nature. We don't work with nature. That's what they're saying. So the fairy realm is lost to us because we don't love nature. We don't love trees. There's a lot of people that do love nature, but we don't love it on the level that we used to, because nature used to be our friend, because it would feed us, it would house us, it would do all kinds of things. We could make shelter in the forest. It would feed us with berries, with fruit, with roots. So we love nature because we knew we had to have nature in order to survive. But now it's like, screw nature, because we can just destroy it. It doesn't matter. We'll just survive anyway. We'll just filter the water. We'll filter the air. We don't give a shit what we do with nature anymore. And so the fairy realm itself is not able to help our world, help Mother Nature. That's why Mother Nature feels so alone at times, because it's being disconnected from all the other realms that used to help it. Because of the lack of love for her. Love allows the fairies to help us, that bring the love into the world. It gives the ability to the nature itself to thrive, and when it thrives, it's easier to connect the two together. So the spiritual and the physical combine seamlessly and beautifully. So her realm is never going to be affected by this one. However, this one could die, and that would be very sad for her. She already is saddened from the loss of a world that is so beautiful. Because it used to be so much more beautiful, she said. It still is. There is still lots of hope, she says. But she holds her heart, and she goes like this, and she falls into thousands of fairies on the ground. And they fly up, and they form her heart. And then she walks out again, and all the heart folds back and goes back into her. She says she loves us. She loves nature. But where is the love in the world? Without the love of the world and one another, we can never truly come. We can never truly come back. Because our love can only flourish if you love yourself and love nature. She breaks apart and starts flying away. And she forms back into a love symbol as she flies. And then they disperse. And there's like a seed that hits the ground farther away, and it grows this beautiful golden tree. And she says, that is hope. When I plant this tree, and it shows it's starting to grow. Little seedling breaking out of the ground. It is hope that this tree will live for 1,000 years. Because if you choose love and the love of nature and the love of yourself, this tree will live 1,000 years. If not, it will die. And that would be a really sad thing, wouldn't it? And she goes, but I'm not sad, she says. I'm always happy, because this realm that we live in, everything that is growing in yours is alive and flourishing here. Even though it saddens me to see a part of it die, it doesn't die. It stays growing in this realm. And to me, that is beautiful. That is beautiful, she says. Like you are. And that's the message. It's a message that she gave to the world, to you, to me. Thank you very much, everyone, and if you wish to do a journey with me, you can go to my website, and it's www.amonrosawakening.com. I also am a Northern Lights photographer, and you can visit my Northern Light page at josephbradleyauroras.com. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a beautiful day. Take care.